I'm Jennifer Blain Christen. I am the CTO and co-founder of Flex Biotech. We deliver laboratory quality diagnostics in a low-cost, rapid point-of-care format. The problem we're trying to address is our inability to detect patients with disease across entire populations. And as we've seen in the COVID-19 pandemic, there's a real need to rapidly identify patients with high sensitive diagnostics. And we know there are large segments of the population who don't have good access to high quality centralized laboratory testing. And that's really where our technology shines. We can target those individuals in the population who may be in remote locations, maybe transient or economically disadvantaged, and we can provide them with rapid and sensitive testing at a price point that meets their needs. And this is really where the passion of our company lies, in improving health equity. We've looked at the two ends of the diagnostic spectrum. First, you have those centralized laboratories with large, expensive equipment that can sometimes take days or even weeks to provide results. We've taken that high sensitivity and combined it with the advantages of rapid diagnostics, which are fast and really simple, sometimes even at home. And we've put those together into a single diagnostic system that's shown here with simple reagent kits and a handheld reader. Some of the advantages of our system are that it's very fast and accurate. You can imagine going to a doctor visit and obtaining your results within that single visit. So both testing and a treatment plan can be given. We are cost effective, starting at $5 per test. And our reader cost is also low, which really meets the needs of those remote medical clinics in underserved communities. We can also target multiple biomarkers, and this is important for diseases that have lots of variants. We've seen that in COVID. So if we want to be resilient to variants, or we can set up a panel of biomarkers for diseases that have very similar clinical presentation. We've achieved this by really examining those high cost, complicated systems and breaking it down into the core functional elements within those systems and implementing them with low cost devices that still maintain the accuracy. This is a result of over 7 years of collaboration between my co-founder and myself. We've had over 20 peer-reviewed publications, numerous IP filings and awards, and we've been heavily vetted through peer review and over $11 million in research funding to achieve this system. We've already exclusively licensed 2 of the key pieces of IP involved in our technology. Our beachhead market is an HPV screening, which we have extensive experience. HPV causes cervical cancer, and this is an over $7 billion market worldwide. Recently, the World Health Organization has recommended screening every woman starting at age 30. And this is not something that's generally been done in low and middle income countries. And we know that for our target populations, comparable screening tools such as the Cepheid Gene Expert that can handle those the low throughput needs of a remote clinic coming in at over $30 per test, which is just a non-starter for our populations. We already have established clinical partnerships with the All India Institute of Medical Science. We have a 6-year ongoing collaboration, which is already underway, and we've already secured the funding to test 14,000 women in India. We've also have a partnership with the Clinton Health Access Initiative, who would like to help us create partnerships with governments in sub-Saharan Africa to provide testing for the women there. And I'm really excited about the HPV-driven head and neck or oropharyngeal cancer screening. There are over 46 million people just in the US who fall into the category for screening. And there are currently no point of care tests available to screen. And that allows us to apply for a breakthrough designation with the FDA to fast track us to FDA approval. This could set us up to be first to market. And this is important because HPV is a growing epidemic in men. HPV-associated head and neck cancer is a growing epidemic in men. And we have found through extensive customer interviews that we would be able to provide salivary testing with saliva collection at dentist's office, which really fits quite well with the growing trend in dentistry to provide more generalized healthcare and fits right in with their workflow. We've partnered with key opinion leaders at Baylor College of Medicine, and they're in fact one of our customers for a large ongoing trial in HPV screening with over 900 men. We have an 18-month contract with them. We've also partnered with A.T. Still University, a local dental college, and they're a key partner because one of the large medical systems in the Phoenix area sends all of their head and neck cancer patients to AT still for a dentistry workup before starting cancer treatment. We have really extensive testing that has demonstrated our technology that has been peer reviewed and published. We have shown on the left that we can detect down to 10 copies for HPV screening and cervical cancer. And this is at the same limit of detection as that Cephia Gene Expert system that I had mentioned before. And we're actually just a little bit better than the Roche Cobas system, a well-accepted standard in clinical testing. You can see on the right that we're very easily able to distinguish positive samples shown in black from the negatives shown in gray. And we have determined that our current testing provides 83% sensitivity and 92% specificity. And we have had no false positives in our current testing. And all of those tests in the 300 women in India, that start of that big study, are run alongside the Roche Cobas system. So we're able to have the validation of our test results. Our custom assay has also been run on over 500 men and thousands of retrospective samples. And we have ongoing work to test that with the most updated version of our reader system. Both my co-founder and I have very active research laboratories in which we continue to make improvements, to provide functionality, and to generate new IP for the company. This is our leadership team. My co-founder is Dr. Karen Anderson. She's a professor of life sciences and associate dean for research at Arizona State University. She's also a medical oncologist seeing patients at Mayo Clinic. Her expertise is in biomarker discovery and assay development, specifically for point-of-care diagnostics. I'm an associate professor of electrical engineering and Fulton Entrepreneurial Professor at Arizona State University. And my expertise is in bioelectronics and microfluidics. I also have expertise in optoelectronics. Our CEO is Tom Miller, and he has really got many, many decades of experience in business leadership. We also have Luke Smith, our business advisor, who has helped us to create many partnerships that are going to allow us to take our manufacturing to the next level. We've created a product launch timeline that we're already starting in phase 0. We want to move into the manufacture, clinical validation, and FDA approval for our system, and we'd like to launch sales in Q3 of 2023. And again, we've already talked to manufacturers and design firms to determine how we can scale up our production to 1 million units. We're currently seeking $5 million in Series A financing. That will be used to finalize the design of the reader and add a few more capabilities. We're looking to recruit industry experts to round out our full-time executive team and advisory board, maybe some of the people in attendance here. We have a plan for FDA approval and market launch, again, in the next year. So in summary, what I've presented is our beachhead market with an over $5 billion or over $7 billion worldwide market. We already have a beta prototype that's been deployed to laboratories both in the US and abroad for clinical HPV testing and validation. We are backed by peer-reviewed funding with over $11 million in non-dilutive funding. And we've established key partnerships with our testing partners and key opinion leaders to complete that validation. We've secured our IP with exclusive license, and we're ready to for a commercial launch in late 2023. And with that, I'd be open to any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Christen. Judges, the floor is yours.
I'll go ahead and start. Thank you so much for that presentation. It was really great and very complete. I'm trying to conflate a whole bunch of questions into maybe one or two. Just so that I'm clear, it sounds like you're differentiating your product based on cost, but I'm also wondering, and you talked about, how it is in terms of accuracy. And also, are you looking at genetic subtypes, and how will that influence care? Because you're going to have to, for example, compete with what's already in the market. So why would providers change, and how is that going to change a clinician's decision-making process?
Sure. So I'm guessing you're talking a little more about the cervical cancer?
Both, actually, both the head
Okay,
and neck and the cervical.
Sure. So head and neck's a little more straightforward because there aren't as many subtypes found in the oropharyngeal cancer. But within cervical cancer, we've targeted the most oncogenic subtypes of HPV, and those are included in our assay. We're running this with a large clinical trial, so we're able to determine with a gold standard system, that COBAS system, the detection of those individuals with cervical cancer, along with the visual inspection. We are really trying to pare down and target those that are most important for the oncogenic subtypes that cause cervical cancer. I think in addition to the cost, I want to highlight the highly distributed nature. So our system was really designed to sit in the back of a van and go down a bumpy dirt road. It is really mechanically robust. It is really designed to operate in a location that might not have power or running water. So I want to differentiate in those aspects as well.
Thank you. Jeff, your hand is up.
Yeah, so that was awesome. Thank you so much. I love the focus on cost and access. And I would kind of thinking about why you haven't pivoted. So if you can do saliva, I'm going to assume you could do urine. I'm just going to look and tell me if you think you could do urine. And the reason I go there is once you get into urine and you're addressing cost and access, you open up a world of, for example, schistosomiasis screening in sub-Saharan Africa, where cost and access are a big deal. The person who's going to pay you for this, I hope, is Bill Gates and the Gates Foundation. So there is a pathway there. But when I look at HPV in developed countries, there is already something there, not great. If I look at HPV in undeveloped countries, I just wonder, can you really afford to treat people? And when I've worked in clinics in sub-Saharan Africa, that's an issue. And so I'm just wondering, why not go where we know we can make an impact, where we know we can treat? And if you could go to, and I'm just throwing schistosomiasis out as one particular example, if you want to stay in cancer and go to developed countries, instead of HPV, I wonder, again, if you go to urine, if you could address renal and kidney cancers, where there's really not such a good screening test. And although it's not that, as common a cancer as some that we screen for, just a different pivot. So I just wanted to throw that out there and see if you thought about those directions.
Sure. So we've actually tested a wide variety of different infectious diseases. We've tested we've done a lot of COVID work. We've done pox virus. We've done, extensive work in a lot of areas. And we've handled numerous different biofluids. So that's certainly something that we can pivot to. We have really developed a platform technology. So, certainly the reader itself has almost no changes that are needed, a little bit of electronic software to pivot from one disease to the other. Our cartridges were designed for concentration to enrich our samples, and that would be really important for urine as well as some of the other biofluids. But we certainly want to focus on having a platform, and that really allows our company to grow very quickly by adding new diseases, new target biomarkers to the system. So within the HPV realm, we had some great partners there, and they're really adept at treating cervical cancer. There's a lot they can do with colposcopy and on-site loop treatments. But we're certainly very, very open, and we have lots of partnerships across a number of different diseases.
Thanks. Gladys, do you want to jump in?
Yes, sure. Thank you very much, Nicole. First of all, Jennifer, thank you very much. Great presentation. And I think I'm definitely along with my colleagues about the ability to treat patients that have limited access and underrepresented populations. It's interesting, the dental partnership. As you evolve that partnering strategies, are you thinking also of potentially partnering with maybe some of the pharmacies as well that provide some quick screening and testing services?
Certainly, that would be fantastic. As I mentioned, we really wanted to target the dental college because there is such a concentrated number of men with HPV that are sent there for the dental workups. And that allows us easy access to a larger population than we can normally find to really, work out our tests, provide that FDA data. And I know there have been a lot of screenings. My co-founder has been involved in a lot of studies over the years. And even in large populations, finding people with HPV driven cancer is not easy to do. And so this was just a great partnership for us to get started and have that really large number of positives in our population.
And, definitely understand that the goal is to get the 510K approval. Something to think about as well is, as you expand to different age groups, with teenagers and things like that. So, some of the testing services, for example, as CVS or so, those things can also kind of help expand that access. So good job. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love to be in every CVS, Walgreens, and Amazon.